Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Reimagining Tech in 2022, presented by Google Cloud and ETCIO. To help IT decision makers in meeting digital transformation goals for their organizations, ET and Google Cloud have come up with an innovative series of 10 workshops around cutting edge cloud technologies. The sessions have been conceptualized, keeping in mind IT leaders who are looking to gain actionable insights to support their organization's digital growth strategies. Today's workshop is on the topic Future of Work, ensuring productivity and collaboration in a hybrid environment. Few business leaders would deny that work has been fundamentally transformed over the past 24 months. After a forced global experiment in remote work, hybrid work has become a mainstream conversation for organizations and analysts everywhere. As organizations across the globe adapt to the new landscape of work, this topical workshop will show the way how teams can deliver productivity with solutions designed for humans and built for impact. Let's kickstart today's event. I would like to invite Kunal Purohit, Chief Digital Services Officer, Tech Mahindra, for a keynote address. Welcome, Mr. Purohit. Pleasure to have you here. We will also have a Q&A session at the end of the workshop, so you can keep posting your questions and our speakers will be happy to take them all. Over to you, Mr. Purohit.
Hi everyone, my name is Kunal Purohit. I am the Chief Digital Services Officer at Tech Mahindra. My role predominantly and my team's roles predominantly is to help our customers use emerging technologies and modern work techniques to drive higher outcomes, business outcomes from their digital transformation journey. And we have seen a spate of such programs being driven by our customers in the last couple of years since we have been through this pandemic or the COVID journey. There are a few examples that I would cover in the next 5 to 10 minutes that I talk about. But essentially, the topic I'm going to cover today is how do you ensure higher productivity and collaboration in a hybrid work environment? And we have all seen that over the last couple of years, we have moved away from everyone being in office almost all the time to almost not everyone not being in office almost all the time during the lockdown to settling somewhere in between. That's the definition of hybrid in terms of, can some folks work from home? Can we define a set of days when everyone's in office? And the jury is still out in terms of what's the best hybrid model, the configuration of that hybrid model. But essentially, there are several studies that indicate that the hybrid work environment is there to stay, and different configuration of work elements within can improve productivity and throughput for organizations. We at TechM have tried some of these techniques and very happy to share that. One example is that, we are a company of 150,000 people, and while COVID disrupted many industries, we were able to very quickly enable work being driven by almost all of our 150,000 staff across wherever they were during that period. And that gave us a lot of learning. The company grew 17% year on year. So that's a good internal case study to ourselves and to many of our customers who want to learn in terms of what we did to enable employees to work from home, to become productive very quickly, deliver on the outcomes. And we are in the IT industry, so delivering on new features that were to go live for our customers, supporting their needs 24/7 became critical. And therefore, very happy to share that not one customer got disrupted, and that's a great learning that we have had. There were several challenges we faced, but all our customers understood, and we were able to jointly work together to create some of these outcomes. So let me start to unpack some of these. What really drives productivity in an environment where not everybody is working at the same in the same office on the same table, as part of one squad. I think there are three core elements that we need to look at. Element number one is the work packet itself. How's the work evolved? How is the work evolving? The work packet itself. What type of work is the employee doing, and therefore, in the hybrid environment, what needs to be enabled so that she can deliver the outcome well. That's the lever number one. Lever number two is the employee herself. The way employees today think of work and work environment and their own skilling and future skilling themselves has tremendously evolved over the last couple of years. And therefore, that's another lever that we have been closely studying in terms of which employee performs, in what particular condition and how productive can that person be. The third and the last lever is the work environment itself. A very interesting, set of trend suggests, we are moving, not just from physical spaces to digital, but we're also moving to metaverse, right? That's one example, and I'll talk about it in a bit more detail. But hey, we are starting to collaborate in a completely different world altogether. It's not just the team side and in the current universe, but hey, are we collaborating in metaverse as well? So I think a combination of how these three levers engage and interact is the way productivity kind of gets improved, and outcomes get created. And I think let's go deeper into each of them. So let's pick the first one first, which is the type of work and how is that impacting the way the world's improving in terms of the throughput. So take an instance of today's digital centric transformation that every company is driving, and you'll realize that there is a lot of build activity happening. It's a developer economy. The huge number of developers are building new features every day. They are thinking about the companies are reimagining how they should engage their customers or their consumers, and therefore basis that there's a lot of build activity that's going on. Now imagine if a builder is not in office but is working from home and doesn't have the full developer environment to his or her disposal. That creates a huge amount of friction, and the enterprise is not able to launch features faster. And this is predominantly because you need ability to build faster using tools. You need to have the development environment at your disposal. And at the same time, you need to have, their secure environment for code to be checked in at times if there is a production environment and things like that at play. Now that's very, very crucial, and it directly impacts business outcome for enterprise. We did some survey with our set of customers, and 70% of them came back and said why they would like to do it. Not many of them have been able to really create an environment where developers are empowered with, let's say, what we call as virtual development environment, VDEs, where they can log into the development cloud with all the environment tools available to them, and they can start building away. That's a one very, very important element of how the work packets are driving thinking, and the shift in the way productivity is improved, right? So if enterprises are able to provide developers with VDEs, which is secure, which is on demand, which is cloud centric, then the ability to launch features would be much better. The second, if we go to the second factor, which was the worker or the employee herself, I think there are very huge number of interesting implications that are that we are seeing in the workplace. Point number one is that the employee evolution from being an I-shaped employee, where the employee will have depth in one particular idea, is now evolving to a T-shaped employee, to a pie-shaped employee. And we're now talking about comb-shaped employees, where employees not just have depth in 3 or 4 areas, but they are also able to cross collaborate. And think of that in the perspective of when in a hybrid and work environment, you have to work on designing new applications. During COVID time, for example, TechM had to very quickly create an application to ascertain where the employees were. We knew that they were not in office, they were at home, but we wanted to make sure they are safe, and in some way, some fashion, they are connected, so that we could kind of ascertain their well-being, at the same time also the work elements that they were associated with. So we had to very quickly build some of these applications, and we realized that during design phase, a lot of these employees require the ability to collaborate. It's no longer the element of going back to your own desk and building or writing code, but hey, how do you write the new user journey? Can we whiteboard in terms of what's the new process, and therefore what should the code look like? Now, during that design phase, there are different needs in terms of tools, in terms of the ability to whiteboard, and a dispersed team sometimes finds it difficult, right? So therefore, bringing in tools like Miro that helps whiteboarding, expanding the use of Teams whiteboard across the enterprise, I think that helps create that culture of being able to come together at the time when there is a lot of thinking being done, and then you can disperse and use the tools at your disposal to build the application. So that's another example of how we were able to, and many of the enterprises for that matter are able to create good collaboration across teams. And mind you, the team sizes are also very critical in the productivity of work being delivered. So we are moving towards having smaller teams. More and more features are being built with Scrum teams of size 7 to 10 people, not more than that. And therefore they should have the right knowledge management tools. They should have the right access to knowledge, not just within the enterprise but outside the enterprise. And imagine if a UX researcher wants to do some research on certain aspects of a particular industry and the behavior of clients there, and the security policies of the enterprise don't allow that UX researcher to have access to that site. It creates a huge amount of friction again. And therefore, how do you come together between the CIO organization, the CISO organization, to ensure that while there are tools and new startup applications which allow for tremendous amount of collaboration across teams, there is still high amount of security that is still there in the stack, so that you don't compromise on the data, and you don't end up having breaches there. So that's a critical element that enterprises are keeping in mind, right? How do you create huge collaboration on one side, open access to what's working best, versus how do you make sure that while there is open access, there is some level of policy and standardization, that it's not not unsecure in the end. And that's something that's been a crucial part of the enterprise on that hand. I think another example could be developers who are working in teams sometimes want to come to office, versus sometimes they want to work from home. And the definition of when they should be in office, is it everyone should be allowed to come in one day, or all of them should come in on a day and then can work from home on others? I think some of those factors, which are not necessarily tool driven, but driven from a collaboration perspective, getting together to discuss a few things that are critical on your product backlog. Your feedback from what's happening on your beta launches is very, very crucial. I think that's also where some of these modern tools, cloud-based tools, come in and help quite a bit. I think the third element, coming to the last one, is the work environment itself, which is driving productivity. I think there are several layers to it. There is one layer around the inclusivity and the diversity quotient within the team. I think there are several recent studies that suggest that productivities improve if the team has psychological safety, that team members are able to have diverse opinions and not just listen to a team lead and have a follow up on the orders given by the team lead. So I think that's been critical to driving productivity. But essentially, also the tech environment is tremendously changing there too. As an example, Metaverse today, quite a few enterprises, including TechM, have started helping enterprises with moving their brands onto the Metaverse. And therefore, how do you think of productivity in that context? It's a completely different ballgame altogether. Right? How do you bring AI tools? How do you bring security tools in that context? And again, there are several hyperscalers that we are partnering with, where some of this is being built ground up to help enterprises. Next time you and I meet, we could meet up in the metaverse, and we could be sitting in a library where we could be going through books on future of work, or going through videos on several videos on future of work. So that's an interesting aspect of where the future of work is moving to as well. It's not just the physical part of or being working from a different location, but hey, in a completely different universe as well. So while still early days, I think some of these are interesting perspectives. I think many of these factors are already driving huge amount of shift in the way we are seeing employees behave. Employees upskill themselves, and they all keep the customer problem at the center of whatever is being done. So that's a great part. And for people like me, we have to enable the developer community, the digital community, to be able to deliver on the outcomes that they can, using some of these tools. I think another example, just to close, is this whole work used to be done in a co-located fashion earlier. Then we said, hey, we will have distributed agile based work. Right now we are seeing humongous amounts of work being, and that too, build, run, and not just run, work being delivered in multi-location, distributed agile, hybrid work fashion. So it's fast becoming norm. I think there are several studies that show that productivity of story points that get delivered across some of these distributed agile teams are even higher by 7 to 8%, which was never thought of 2 years back. Many enterprises used to shudder at the thought of having development teams or feature teams located across continents, not coming to office and co-locate themselves, which is now become a reality. So I'll take a pause here. There are several implications on how a secure environment is provided. There are implications on how tools are enabled for the need of the employee. A developer need is different from a UX designer, and we discussed that a couple of examples a few minutes back. So how do you create tools on demand for employees who need them? And at the same time, how do you enable the work ethics in the new world order, where the employee has become, for want of a better word, a conscious employee. She wants to spend some quality time at home. She wants to continue to spend quality time on work and deliver better, and not get bogged down by issues of not being in office physically. and at the same time, focus on the broader, um, the infinite game of helping around, let's say, the climate change, enabling better work policies with inclusivity and diversities and things like that. So I think those are the key factors which we have seen drive productivity. Incidentally, my teams also dispersed globally, and we have people coming into office on defined days to discuss a few things, and then every Friday evening we get together virtually and have a drink and celebrate some of the success of the week. And we do it a couple of times to ensure that we are able to match it with the global time zones of people who are based in different locations. But that also tremendously helps, because people also want to engage with the work teams outside of work. And this is one way of kind of connecting back. We keep asking each other, we go around the table and say, what more did you get to know about this person this week? And that's how we start. And then it always gets into a lot of new gossip, new work, ideas and things like that. So yeah, so that's been a fairly long monologue. I hope it was useful, and I'm very happy to take questions. Some of it have, some of these things we have implemented in TechM. Some of these things we have implemented across our customer set, global 2000 customers that Tech Mahindra has. And there are several deeper learnings across each of these ideas. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Mr. Purohit, for an informative session. Indeed, there's a lot to learn and take away. As technology becomes increasingly customized for hybrid environments, new approaches and technologies will reduce context shifting and help people stay focused while they collaborate. To elaborate on how organizations can keep teams connected and productive from anywhere while ensuring security and reliability of information and devices, we have with us Sujata Dusi, Customer Engineer, Google Workspace Specialist, Google Cloud, to share her insights on what the future of work looks like. I would like to remind you that you can post your questions in the question section, as we will have a Q&A session at the end of the workshop.
Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion on the future of work. My name is Sujata Dusi and I am the Customer Engineering Lead for Google Workspace for India. Now, coming to today's discussion around future of work, here are some of the current workplace trends that are observed globally while we surveyed several organizations. First and foremost, it is observed that 60% of the users perform other tasks or multitask during conference calls. This was something that has been evidently found in several surveys. Another major observation was that organizations will continue working from home or working in a hybrid mode, at least for the next 2 years. Organizations are no longer looking at boundaries for collaboration, and they would want that seamless communication across users, irrespective of where they are. Now, that said, some of the major concerns from a security standpoint for environments is that there is a lot of siloed information in different tools, all of it not connected. And shadow IT is becoming a major concern because users are ending up using their own tools once they're not getting the right tool set from their admins or their organization. All of it, once again, leading to lack of IT security because shadow IT brings in all those aspects where admins would have absolutely no control on. Content flow is sometimes very complex and confusing in organizations. So along with the tools that they are using, irrespective of aspects like shadow IT that I spoke about earlier, the content flow as to whether to use an online doc, whether to use an offline editor, what tool or where should I put the document, which version should I use, is it just for this project or always? All of these different thought processes just make document creation itself very difficult. While creation is one aspect, document continuity and collaboration on the doc just increases the complexity several fold. That said, for most people, users end up editing those files, which is not the latest version, or end up creating their own version right from scratch just because they couldn't find that information. That said, based on how users have been using tools or have been working, and based on several other observations from end users, we have come up with some of the strong design principles that we have leveraged for Google Workspace and for the future of work, just to meet the changing expectations for end users. That said, real-time collaboration is becoming the key. Access from anywhere, ability to stay virtual, ability to customize it to ensure that it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, but it's customized to fit the needs of different personas in an organization, different teams of any sizes, and whatever approach they want to take. So based on these specific design principles, Google Workspace is found in order to ensure that it is the true cloud solution, bringing in the right communication and collaboration for your organization. We majorly speak about Workspace across three major pillars. First, as to how users can connect among themselves with the right tools like email, calendar, chat, meet, classrooms for learning and development needs for their end users, or AppSheet, which is an absolute no-code platform, which gives the ability for end users and admins to create applications to improve processes for your needs. Then comes the tools for creating content. All of it to bring the right data-driven approach for your organization. Very familiar tools like Google Docs, Sheets and Slides, forms for surveys or data captures, sites for any kind of internal document repositories, Steam sites that you can build, and other tools like Keep and Jamboard, which help you to take quick notes, sticky notes, or whiteboard across users for ideas. While the platform itself is extensible through add-ons and scripts, because there are APIs for several of the services that are available within Workspace. While these are more the end user benefits, admins still have the right control on the entire organization and their security needs, because it's all about storing the data information centrally in the cloud on Drive, ability to search and look up for content, and using a simple administrative tool for managing the entire setup. Whether it is aspects like legal hold or e-discovery or device management to ensure that only trusted devices are getting connected to the setup. With simple security tools through a security center, which allow admins to do deep forensics and investigations on any issue that's happening, while staying compliant with all of the regulatory requirements of every industry, whether it is cloud-based certifications or industry-based certifications. We take up all the needs to ensure you comply. Workspace is also a platform which has or being used by over 3+ billion monthly active users. Several meeting minutes, audio video conferences happen on it every single day. It's also observed that almost 40 of the 42 new entrants from the unicorn space have grown up on Google Workspace. Your future generation of workers are also familiar with Workspace because several schools, colleges, universities are all using Workspace for their daily learning, communication, and collaboration needs. So what exactly is Google Workspace? It's that true cloud native communication collaboration platform which brings the right integrated approach and integrated tool set for your users with email, chat, video conferencing, and a full editor suite that all the users would get access to. It's not just the early age startups that currently use Google Workspace, but several established market leaders, several organizations, enterprises using Workspace for their daily needs, like PwC, Airbus, having hundreds and thousands of users on the platform, completely on Workspace. Here are a couple of quotes from PwC and Salesforce, majorly discussing on how Workspace is enhancing their security posture, ensuring the right collaboration and real-time content editing across their users. Workspace brings in the right workplace transformation, all of it through a power of culture. Innovation is something Google really puts a lot of emphasis on. And with Google Workspace, we plan to bring in several aspects to you and to your end users. I'll try to explain all of these 6 major pillars in the coming slides. First is openness and trust. Every user, it is estimated that they spend almost 20% of their day-to-day time just looking up for content. And once they end up not finding the right content, they end up recreating right from scratch. With Workspace, search plays a very important role in the entire journey because users can quickly look up for content irrespective of which data source they want to look through. So the platform itself brings in that openness for the users and while maintaining the right trust because a user can only look up for that content to which they have access to. Agility also becomes really important because users are on the go and prefer to have the right collaboration while connecting from any device anywhere. Agility is also becoming a key because of the different types of users any organization can have. It can be desk workers, it can be field users on the go. It's about giving any type of user a integrated end user experience without any kind of context switching across different applications that are installed on a end user's laptop. If you observe, all of Workspace services are built grounds up on top of Gmail. So Gmail becomes your communication hub. With the integrated experience, you get to see email, chat, spaces, meetings, all of it under the same panel. With also simple enablement to access one's availability through calendar, keep, tasks, and extend the platform to several elements from the marketplace as well. And the experience just gets better while you are on the mobile as well, because it's a single app from where you can get all of your work done. So with reduced context switching, you are ensuring faster work for the end users. Productivity is also a very key role to bring in the right communication for the users. With features like Smart Canvas within editors, there are several AI capabilities that are brought into which help complete your sentences or get started quickly with documents. Almost 100 concurrent users can simultaneously edit and update a document, which just increases the speed at which your work gets completed. So users can quickly build content and have the right data-driven culture in the setup. Work like a pro even without your laptop, because you can now access Workspace and its tools from any device and yet maintain the same experience irrespective of which device. Never miss out on any content just because a file is stored locally on any device. Because with Workspace, the content is on the cloud and you can access the same content from any approved device by your administrator. That said, it's bringing in the right flexibility for the users to always stay connected and continue working in a collaborative manner. All of it while making the platform itself a lot more fun and easy to work with. Because simplicity is a driving force in creating all of the tools of Google Workspace. Whether it is auto completion or AI capabilities like translations or vision API, it just gets easier with Workspace. While communicating with users across countries, across regions where different languages are used, you could also use built-in translator options with captions in Google Meet as well. So that said, your work becomes a lot more easier and fun to do. And that's when the focus goes to what it really matters for an end user to get their work done easily. While a security admin would worry about how to ensure that their data is safe, but with Workspace, with the right security tools, irrespective of whether it is an end user access, how they are accessing securely or accessing content, the right tools to prevent any sensitive data from leaving the environment, simple access to tools like email or native security that's built into email, because that's one major area where quite a lot of vulnerabilities or attacks happen through phishing, malware, spam, or even ransomware attacks. Organizations keep all of their content securely through the right legal hold in the form of vault, while adhering with all of the security certifications and regulatory requirements. Because the platform itself provides an uptime and an SLA-based runtime for services, which is 99.9% uptime for every Workspace service. Also observe that teams using Workspace are a lot more happier and innovative. And that's where the future of work is done. So it's not just for how the users are growing up, but how users have experienced a better tool set or better growth on the ease of tools and the scale at which it can be grown in a setup. That said, I quickly wanted to demonstrate some of the capabilities which help you strengthen your belief on Google Workspace. So let's quickly switch to a quick demonstration of how the product works. First and foremost is the Gmail, because that's where it becomes a communication hub where several other services and tools can also be used. So Gmail just doesn't become a place for emails, but it does a lot more, because you can now receive email right from here, chat with one another, whether it's a one-on-one chat or quickly create a group chat for a conversation with different users. Or spaces, where you can collaborate across teams from spaces and access all of the files that have been shared within that space. You could also assign tasks to one another and have a complete track of activities through tasks in Google Spaces. Start quick meetings and have that ease of video conferencing through the Meet tab right from within Gmail. look up through your entire calendar, click and join meeting, or get started with new meeting. The platform just extends because you can now look up through your calendar, have a quick view of Keep, where you can take quick notes or access the tasks that you wanted to complete before the end of the day. Contacts help you to look through the users within your environment. So I can look up for users, get an understanding of their profile, and communicate with them right from within Gmail. The platform extends to other third-party services like Salesforce or Jira or any other applications through add-ons that you can add from within Gmail. That said, Gmail now becomes your central point for communication hub. While I get a little deeper into spaces, this is a place where most of the activity happens because I can now chat with one another. I can create a meeting on the fly and get started with a video call with everyone within the team space. I can allow the communication and have several other features within meetings to ensure that I'm connected. I can also quickly create documents on the fly or access an earlier document and upload it from Google Drive or from within my system as well. Now, as I create a document, users can communicate on the document simultaneously and have a seamless co-editing experience with up to 100 people simultaneously editing the document. Let me quickly show you some aspects of real-time collaboration on a doc. Now, here's a demo doc that I've shared with my colleague Shubham. I can give specific edit access to him or just allow him to view or comment a document. In this case, I have given edit access. I can chat with Shubham right from the document. I can instantly start a call or present this document from within the meeting as well. Smart Canvas is built in that helps me draft meeting notes or create an email draft while we work together on this doc. So Shubham and myself can simultaneously edit this document while we are speaking on a call or have our own times of work help us to edit the document at different time zones and still stay connected because all of us are working on the same version of the file and still work or create content, whether it is offline mode or whether I'm connected over the internet. Because with Google Editors, you can always create documents even without any connectivity over the net. That said, with Workspace, it's not just documents, but it's also maintaining versions, not just at a document level, but also at a cell level, because that's the granularity at which we index the content, which simply makes it easier to search or look up for content. If you take a look at this one cell in this document, I can see details on who has edited this document before me on this very cell. Once again, we are not just talking about a document level versioning, but a cell level versioning, which just increases the granularity at which the work is done. All of it while ensuring that you can easily manage your entire organization through a simple administration panel. Because you're not just managing all of the apps and services, but getting a quick view of the entire security posture of your environment with quick available dashboards and investigation tools, along with getting the right recommendations for maintaining the security and the posture for your setup. That said, let's quickly understand some more benefits of Google Workspace and the key differentiators. So, as we observed in the demonstration, with Workspace, it's all about integrated tools, simplified interfaces for users which are easy to adopt. All of it through a 100% cloud native solution, because with Google Workspace, you're neither installing anything in your organization on-premise setup nor installing any kind of application on the end user's laptop. Never worry about any kind of patching, whether it is end user applications. Never worry about any kind of data loss ever. While keeping in mind a minimum learning curve for end users, because these are tools which users are already familiar with and using in their personal lives. The efforts for change management are very minimal because users tend to quickly adopt the services as they get started and have the improved end user productivity because it is bringing in the right collaboration and the real-time co-working with the ease of access and the ease of editing on a different device experience, bringing in the right culture of innovation. Searching through content just becomes easier. So you don't need to recreate content ever because you always have a baseline to start with, which hugely helps in saving a lot of time for end users. Make your admins happy because your environment is secure with Workspace, because the surface area for attacks itself is reduced once you remove any kind of thick clients or installables in your setup. The native security capabilities with built-in DLP with OCR, MDM, MAM across different types of devices, whether it's an Android, iOS, Windows, whichever device the user is accessing. And with deep investigation options like investigation tool, just helps keep your environment a lot more secure. And with Google Workspace, we are ensuring a platform that is enabled for everyone to build, get started, and innovate. Users can enhance their own processes by creating simple apps using AppSheet as well, which is an absolute no-code platform where we are enabling any user to build and create applications to enhance the processes for your environment while keeping things secure. So why further delay? Because we can get started going Google.
Thank you, Ms. Sujata, for sharing your perspective and knowledge here with the audience. Now, as committed, it's time for a Q&A round. Let's try to take the maximum questions as the time permits. Thank you, Ms. Sujata, for sharing your perspective and knowledge here with the audience. Now, as committed, it's time for a Q&A round. Let's try to take the maximum questions as the time permits. So let's start with the Q&A round. Uh, how is Workspace better than Teams? Sujata, over to you.
Yeah, awesome question to start off with, I would say. See, first and foremost, both are different platforms, more essentially for chat and collaboration perspective. But to understand Workspace, it's more an integrated experience where we bring in all the services on top of your email. So whether it is chat, meet, spaces, all of them are built on top of email. So you don't need any kind of context switching. But if you look at Teams, you still switch context between an Outlook and a Teams and any other apps, maybe in Word, PowerPoint, Excel, or any other services that you are accessing. So first and foremost is definitely the context switching that I would say. But majorly from connectivity to third-party applications, experiencing documents, access, collaboration, all of it works within spaces where you have direct seamless connectors, whether it is with a GitHub or uh, any other bots that you want to integrate, like a ticketing app, like a Jira. You can do all of it within spaces, and it brings in that uh, same window experience where you don't need to move out of the spaces and still work on a document together with all the users. So I would say that's the way Workspace has an edge over Teams, because it reduces context switching a lot more than what you do in there.
Sure.
Hope I've
Next,
answered.
yes, next question. How Google Workspace can help in compliance for BYOD devices where organizations do not have admin controls?
Again, a very good question. Like in this hybrid working and I mean, in this post-pandemic, I would say more and more organizations are providing BYOD devices and allowing users to connect from any device for their services. Now, first and foremost thing is there's nothing like a company-owned device, because obviously it is fully managed. An organization would have full control on the device and how the user is accessing. But at the same time, there are adequate controls within Google Cloud and Google Workspace which ensure that you are approving users' access only from approved devices. And we call that as context aware access, using which you are having the ability to allow or disallow access based on a device. Apart from that, leveraging the beyond COP controls and the cloud DLP accesses that come along with beyond COP, you can essentially restrict any sensitive information from leaving out of your workspace environment from any device that the user is accessing from. So all of it with the native capabilities without relying on any other solution, and still securing access of end users from whichever device that they are accessing from. So I would say yes, there are built-in controls for irrespective whether it's a BYOD or a company-owned device. So
Sure. So, Kunal mentioned a point on the need for diverse ideas for making the team innovative. How does Google Workspace bring in the right innovation in any team?
yeah, so from an innovation perspective, I think Google has always been a pioneer in this space. Now, a few things that come to my mind when we speak about innovation is it's all about diverse ideas, thoughts, and giving that openness to end users to be able to contribute their ideas. I think that plays a very key role in bringing out the innovation from end users. And Google Workspace enables you with just that, because any service that you look at, the Google editors, the docs, sheets, and slides, essentially help users to share documents. There are no different versions of documents, but everyone connecting at the same place, same time, and still updating the content. Up to 100 people can simultaneously edit a document. Now, that itself gives you that openness of any user trying to contribute their ideas and bringing in those innovations or ideas uh, across, so that they can add value to any conversation or a document or an idea. So I think that's where Google is a pioneer and continues to help customers in bringing out those ideas from end users, I would say.
Definitely, and I'm sure our audience are getting answers to what they are looking for. Now, let's move to more questions. The next is, how is technology becoming an enabler in this distributed agile workforce?
Wow, yeah. Now, again, this was one area that Kunal touched upon, particularly on agile workforce, because now we see users connecting from different locations, cities, and still getting their work done, right? Users are no longer restricted to office, and not no organization is 100% at office. Now, that said, uh, agility or flexibility to work is becoming more and more critical for any type of user persona. Earlier, there used to be only specific industries where users could work from home or have that agile way of working. But In these days, you literally see every industry still having alternate options of connecting and working. Flexibility to work and connect to the services is becoming key. And again, it shouldn't be restricted to just a laptop or a desktop, but the mobility is playing a very important role in this. Now, that said, with Google Workspace and its services, you get the best of experience irrespective of which device they are connecting from, whether it's a laptop, desktop, mobile, again, an Android or an iOS. And I've seen more and more customers speaking about how they get that agility while accessing from mobile, because irrespective of whether you're editing a document from a laptop or a mobile, you're never really stuck to a device. You literally access the same content from any device, and it completely avoids that stickiness or dependency on a device. So I would say it brings in that right agility for the flexible workforce and gives them that access to get their work done even while on the go from their mobile. So that adds to a lot to any user persona. I'd probably give my own example where I didn't have my work phone for just one day, and I was so stuck, and I had to depend on my laptop. But every other day, I now believe how much I actually get my work done from my mobile and not depend on any desk or a laptop to get it done. So yeah, agility is becoming a key for every user, I would say.
Definitely, we all can understand those who all are using Google services, that how agile and how helpful it is. Moving on to the next question: can Google itself help within providing an identity and access management solution for my environment?
Wow. Yeah, again, there's a big myth that customers usually have, or admins usually have, that, oh, do I need to have a separate identity and access management solution while being on Workspace? Is it necessary? But uh, honestly speaking, Google itself is an identity and access management platform. With Google Workspace, you have built in cloud identity with every license, any type that you have. And again, there are variants of cloud identity free and a premium based on the license model. But at the same time, rest assured, you're having all controls, whether it is user onboarding, offboarding, segregation of the directory, management of the directory, how to manage end users from how they are accessing. That is all of the conditional access, context aware access controls. You have all of them built in. Another very important point with identity and access management is also access to applications and services. And that is where I would say it becomes very critical that uh, with Workspace, you will be able to integrate any application as long as it is SAML based, OpenID Connect based, LDAP based, and you get that seamless single sign on experience to all of these applications. So yes, you get identity and access management built in with Workspace, and you literally don't need to look at any other platform like an on-prem LDAP directory or any other cloud directories. But Google itself provides you that cloud identity for your environment.
Sure. Next question is, how do you see Google Sheets supporting large volumes of data, and what are the alternative options possible?
Wow. Again, this is such a frequent question we keep getting, that uh, how can Sheets be an equivalent to an Excel? We grew up on Excel. How can we give away an Excel? So these are literally very, very common questions that we get. But honestly speaking, Google Sheets gives you all of the capabilities which an Excel provides, and a lot more, because you can extend to billions of cells and rows by extending Google Sheets to BigQuery databases as well. So that is through connected sheets, as we call, which helps you to have access to very, very large volumes of data, use the simple operations of sheets to slice and dice your content, drive analytics, or explore content in order to provide the right visualization of that content as well. So I would say every formula that is probably on an Excel also works on a sheet. One thing you'll surely miss is a control S, because you never need to save anything on a doc sheet or a slide. Every character that you type on a sheet is auto saved. And the best part is the cell level versioning and not just the sheet level versioning. So you literally can explore any content and understand who has edited which cell at any point of time, because on a usual Excel it's always that sheet level versioning that you set, or like you create those v1 v2 v3s and all. But you don't need to like really create any of it, because versioning is built in, and it gives you all of the powerful Excel capabilities, whether it's macros, pivots, or any complex formulas or operations you would want to do. All of it built in with Google Sheets, and gives you that right speed as an end user, whether it is uh, however big the content is, it still opens up seamlessly on a sheet. So yeah, I would say sheets can be a great replacement, and we are seeing more and more adoption of that platform across our customers.
No wonder the ease of working on the Google Sheets. It has made the work so easy for work when you're working in a team. Moving on to the next question, what has changed in terms of what employees demand from their working environment?
Yeah, definitely this pandemic has created a lot of change for end users as well as organizations in adopting to the changing times and getting their work done in the respective ways. Few of the things I see as a change from end users is the shift from a shadow IT and expectation of the organization to provide the right tools to empower end users to get their work done. So I believe that's a big shift, and the right tools are also helping them with that uh, direct connect with end users irrespective of where they are. So I would again connect back to the same point of agility, flexibility, seamless access from any device, mobility, uh, and equity of experience, irrespective of which user persona it is. I mean, I can be a field user, I can be desk user, irrespective of who I am, which profile I am. Uh, the access to all the powerful utilities for them to get their work done is definitely a need of the hour, because uh, not everyone is at office, not everyone can actually move from one desk to another and just clarify questions or like get things done, right? So I think giving the end users those right tools to connect and collaborate is becoming more and more critical, and Workspace gives you all of those tools for every single user. So there is no discrepancy of one user having a differentiated tool set from another, but it's about that equity that we bring in uh, with Workspace and the services that come for end users.
Sure. Now we'll take one last question. How can you keep the modern workplace secure and compliant without compromising organizational agility or the employee experience?
Yeah, wow. Again, security and compliance is probably one of the hottest topics in any conversation. First and foremost, with moving users and workforce also comes a threat to security of an organization, right? And we have seen a trend of increase in the number of attacks over the period. And in the last just 2 years, I can say the number of ransomware attacks or the kind of phishing spoofing attacks that have happened have increased multifold in organizations. Now, that said, uh, having those native controls giving you that right protection is becoming very critical for any organization and admins. And providing those right insights and dashboards to an admin is also becoming critical, because an admin needs to have the right view of how the setup is, what is happening, while connecting from anywhere. So I think I would say it's more into two parts. Like, one is about, are there controls protecting my setup? And the second part is an admin having that view that I am having those right protections? Because uh, having that confidence in your setup is also very critical, and Workspace provides with both of them, because the built-in capabilities, whether it is email security, data security, identity access management, the right security tool set for an admin, whether it is legal hold or dashboards or investigation tools, all of these utilities just give that added advantage for admins to exactly look up, troubleshoot, and have the right view of the environment. So I would say it's a mix, and that's what helps empower or maintain that security and compliance even in this flexible workforce. So yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Sujata. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's episode. Thank you to Sujata and Kunal for the insightful content and your valuable time. Thank you to our audience for being interactive and patient and for asking so many relevant questions today. And finally, thanks to Google Cloud for this collaboration. Ladies and gentlemen, keep following ETCIO for all the latest updates and upcoming events. Take care and stay safe.